Hello and welcome to today's Digital Dealer webinar. My name is Maria Burkell and I'll be your host. Our webinar today is sponsored by ADP. The topic is the eighth element, the modern in-store process. Our speaker today is Rich Rikus, Cobalt Performance Improvement Consultant. The webinar audio is broadcasted through your computer speakers. If you're having any trouble connecting, please use the hand symbol below your name. All lines will be muted by the organizers throughout the presentation. If you have any questions during the presentation, please use the question section in the GoToWebinar text box. We will be having a Q&A section at the end of the presentation. Our moderator today is Maureen Condon. She's the editor for Dealer Communications, Dealer, and Digital Dealer magazine. Maureen?
Thank you, Maria, and welcome everybody. Our speaker this morning, as Maria mentioned, is Rich Rikus. He's the Cobalt Performance Improvement Consultant. Born into the automotive industry, Rich Rikus has emerged as one of the industry's premier speakers and trainers. His client list includes nearly every top 10 dealer group, plus OEM clients. While Rich specializes in live seminars and webinars, he is most at home inside the dealership, where he carries a thorough understanding of dealer-level concerns and opportunities. He is highly regarded throughout the automotive industry due to his digital expertise, which enables his clients to attain higher than average levels of performance. Rich, would you like to begin?
I would love to. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Could you just do a test that you can hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
Well, Maureen, thank you very, very much. I do appreciate it. This is absolutely one of my favorite webinars that we've done because this is so much in my sweet spot. You know, in today's world, the internet obviously has taken over everything that we do. I mean, just think about trying to function without it. And when you look at how it's impacted car buying, shoppers' behavior, the purchase cycle, the road to the sale, it is something that is absolutely amazing, and we need to change. And pretty much every dealership I go into and I chat with, it's all about what needs to change, how that meet and greet needs to change. So what we're going to do is review and talk about where we were and where we are and where we're going with this next element. And it's all about process. If anybody's ever sat or listened to any of my instructor-led training courses, any of my presentations, or any of my webinars, one thing I always end it with and always talk about is process sells cars, not price. You take a really good person and you surround them with a good process, you will sell more cars. So as we start this, there is no question the internet has changed everything faster than any other technology back to the 90s. When given so many options that it's almost unthinkable how a customer chose you, how they chose to move into your dealership, and then think about it, 10 years ago maybe, 15 years ago, they would submit a lead to you through dial-up. Can you imagine using a dial-up modem to submit a lead? You know, what appealed to auto buyers back then that would cause them to go through that? And you probably know the answer as well as I do, because even back then, customers wanted a different way to buy a vehicle. They wanted a shorter, more simple process. And whatever they could do to make that experience easier, avoid horrible experiences we all know can happen, you know, whether the nightmare that was their own friends went through, many of them wanted to avoid the long negotiations that we had. So that's what they wanted back then. And I really don't think much has changed with these customers. They're really just looking for a better buying experience. Car buyers, you know, they've evolved in many ways, but in many ways they still have the same simple desires. Shorter, quicker, easy, you know, make the experience great. Make it easy for me, because that's what I want. When you start looking at today's customers, they're online doing research for 11 hours. Just think about that for a second. They're online studying your product, your dealership, your vehicle for 11 hours. And what else do you think they're researching? Any chance they're looking at your reputation to see what other people have to say about them, to see what their friends and family think about them, to see would somebody recommend this place or not recommend this place? well before they ever walk into your store. So when they come into your store, they have high expectations from a sales staff. You know, they probably know as much about the vehicle as your salesperson. This empowers that prospect to choose. They have the opportunity then to choose which dealership they want to visit. And based upon online reputation, I can even go as deep or as detailed as saying, I want to go to that Honda store and I want to work with this specific person because I've learned so much about him online, and it appears his customers love him. You know, it's crazy, you know, when we do our meet and greet, hey, how can I help you? You know, how'd you hear about us? What brought you down today? How about we change that up a little bit? How about we start flipping those talk tracks to, thank you for coming in. Have you had the chance to do any research on the internet about our vehicles? And you let them tell you where they've been, what sites they've visited. It will help your dealership so much as you go through that. You want, you know, to put as much power in this consumer's hand as possible because they have it all. You know, I always talk about an email. You have no control of the customer. When they send you an email, they are in complete control. They are the ones that decide if they want to respond to you. They are the ones that decide if they want to take the next step. So they're in control. If they're on the phone, I call that situational control, where now at least I can lead them, ask them some questions, try to regain some control, but until they come in, I have nothing. But your consumers today are still walking in. When you think about all the people that go to your website, most of them are just walking into your dealership. And they're not just researching the car. They know everything about you. They know what you do in your community. They know if you're philanthropic. They know if you're holding community events. It's not just about the car to this shopper. There's a lot more behind what they're thinking. They know a lot. We have to learn to embrace what this customer knows. So owning research and knowing online behavior research really gives us a good insight into what the customer is doing. So when we start looking at the patterns that these customers have and how they start to emerge, it's pretty amazing. And you may have seen some of this before. We talk about the consumer journey. And here we're going to look at two shoppers that we analyzed, sliced and diced, watched everything they did on the internet, and looked at all their behaviors of everything they did. So this young lady, she had a 36-day journey. 36 days from start to finish, from the time she started her research to the time she bought a car. And she wasn't really sold. She wasn't sure what vehicle she wanted. She did almost 250 online activities over 30 days. She looked at 127 different VINs. You got to think about that for a second. 127 different VIN views. She also looked at 8 different dealers, and she narrowed her shopping experience to what she wanted down to 5 models. And the last thing she did, or did not do, however you want to look at it, she never submitted an email lead to your store. This was by far and away a real typical shopping experience for a consumer. I looked at a lot of these vehicles. Now, let's go a little deeper into her journey now and see what else she was doing. And here's where this data can really help you. During her journey, she looked at 5 different models. You can see model A, B, C, D, and E. You can look at the size of the bubble dictates the amount of time she was on looking at that specific one. So that big red one, 40 minutes on that day she spent looking at that VIN. Having that information, knowing that information can make your life a lot easier when you're trying to figure out what vehicle do I want to market to her, what vehicle do I want to promote back to her. And if you're using remarketing, it's already done for you because we're marketing back to her on this vehicle. And that's going to work every time with her. Very, very easy. So as we continue on, and we look at my buddy Joe Contractor here, he had a 45-day journey. And what's really interesting about this guy, he was super brand loyal. He was only looking at 1 brand and 2 models in his 45-day journey. And another really neat statistic came out of this. So when you start looking at Why do I want to look like the OEM? Why do I want to align with the OEM? 76% of shoppers, so 3/4 of the shoppers that are out there buying vehicles, visit your site and the OEM site within 30 minutes. Just think about that for a second. I go and I build and I design, I play with colors. So I'm on the Chevrolet.com site and I'm playing with that vehicle and I get all kinds of good stuff. And then I go to my local dealerships to say, do they have the one I'm looking for? They're going back and forth 76% of the time. It's a monster number, and it's something you need to be aware of aligning and saying the same exact message. If there's an incentive on the OEM page, that incentive better be on your website at all. Otherwise, you're fracturing the customer's buying experience, and you're hurting your chances of getting this deal. But we all think this guy is so loyal, right? You know, he's one brand, 2 miles. He's going to buy from the dealership that he always buys from. Well, let's see where that goes with us. And just one last thing about Joe here. Never submitted an email lead. Crazy, right? Consistent pattern throughout that we are seeing. So he is loyal to brand, but is he loyal to you? That big spike in traffic, he visited 20 dealers online in one day. He's just looking for the right experience. Who's going to give me the right experience? He knows what he wants, but he's trying to shop for the right dealership. He knows what vehicle he wants. He's trying to make it easy. Now, when we look at what is the most influential site out there, we just had this survey from Constant Consideration that showed 7 of the top 10 shopping influences are digital. And here's the weight and how they go through this. So when we start looking at it, 70% people were influenced by vehicle evaluation sites are out there, the independent sites. Professional review sites have played a big role. Blogs and forums. Who had thought, right? Blogs and forums. People want to hear what other people are saying independently about that vehicle. OEM sites, huge, right? Another reason that you need to be in alignment with your OEM sites. They're key. You know, the DMA, the LMAs, the regional sites all play a big part in there to drive consideration. And the dealership sites are right up there with the OEM sites as far as major influence on what I want and what I want to do as a consumer. And the search engines, you know, everything starts and stops with Google and those search engines, right? So they're using it all the time to help figure out where do they want to buy their car and what's influencing them. So hopefully my network is keeping up with everybody. You're not falling behind me. I just got a network here, but I'm sure it's cooking fine for you. So I hope everybody's good. So when you start looking at that, you know, the 3 other experiences, this is really what we want to talk about. So we know that 7 of the top 10 are digital. The next 3 really come up to you. And this is where we start moving into these 8 elements. The consumer said, you know, a salesperson influenced me 72% of the time. Now, I could do a whole webinar just upon that salesperson, right? The one thing that has never changed in our industry and never will change in our industry is people buy from people they like and they buy from people like them. So if I like you, there's a good chance I'll buy a vehicle from you. If I don't like you, I really don't care what you're selling. There's no chance I'm buying a vehicle from you. Then the next biggest offline influence was the test drive. I like the car. And don't we always say that to the customer when I have somebody on the phone? How much is the car? How much is the car? And I'm, Mr. Customer, have you had the opportunity to drive that vehicle yet? And no, I just want to get a price on that car. I go, Mr. Customer, that vehicle that you inquired about starts at $18,500 and goes up from there. But if you don't have to buy that car today, what I'd like to do is set up a time for you to come and take a test drive, look at our inventory, our selection of Honda Accords, and if you find one that you like, we'll take it for a drive, and then, you know, we'll give you a great price, a fair price on that vehicle. But let's make sure we have the right vehicle for you. It's all about the test drive. And these consumers that are beating you up over a price that have never driven your vehicle, you know, you're shooting your own gross in the foot if you sit there and negotiate and haggle back and forth. I'm certainly going to give them a price. You know, but it's going to start at. And if they really, really push me on specific make, model, trim level, I'll give them a price on that because it has to be easy. It has to be transparent, and it has to be a fantastic buying experience. And that's what we want. So the dealership is the last part of those 3, and we all know what a big role this plays. So this is why. Your sales process is essential to your bottom line. Your sales process truly is the 8th element. And it's something that you need to focus on and work on, and that we're going to talk about for the next 40 minutes as we cruise through this. If a customer purchases a vehicle they love, they tell everyone, right? Even strangers in the social sphere that they work in. But there's more to that story. Great vehicle, bad experience, or great experience. People share all the time with others, and we see it every day. So it's something we have to make sure that we understand when that customer comes in. They know about us. They know about the experience. And how much is it really costing you? People talk to me all these times about, oh, we got a 4-pound deal, we got a 5-pound deal. You know what? That doesn't work anymore. You start taking advantage of your customers, especially, I know you hit those home runs every now and then in the pre-owned, but they're going to go, you can see this guy's commenting, I thought I was getting a pretty good deal, but it turns out they were ripping me off. Is that really the post that you want to see? Is that what you want to come up at some point in time? That customer now is deciding and choosing that I don't like you. You are not gas worthy for me. Just that simple as we move through that. So you've got to be careful on those high gross deals, because while you're really happy and you feel really good about it right now, it can come back and bite you later. And we all do this, right? When we look at this slide here, we all use Yelp, Angie's List, Consumer Reports. I mean, I am constantly, when I'm in a strange city every day of the week, and I always will pull up something that says, closest restaurants, best restaurants by me. Think about how you hire even a contractor or a painter or a plumber, right? We see these things online, and it gives us an idea of, do we believe them? Is this a company that will meet or exceed my expectations? Is this somebody I want to do business with? Your online reputation is the new CSI. You are going to see these manufacturers drift further and further away from the question mark ROIs. Outstanding, truly outstanding. And us coaching every customer that came through is, hey, anything other than truly outstanding or completely satisfied, depending on your manufacturer, is a failing grade for me. I'd sure appreciate if you didn't bring this back in or answer that way, because that's how I get paid. Are you kidding me? I've been doing that since I've been 10 years old. It is such an archaic method. Today, retention is such a better monitor of, are we doing a great job? Is the customer happy? And when you start looking at online, customers saying, I had a great experience. This is the best example I've ever had of customer satisfaction. They exceeded my expectations. That's true CSI. And of course, would they buy another vehicle from you is really key. So, how do you ensure at your dealership you have the 8th element, that you have this process in place and you completely understand it, and just as importantly, your sales consultants totally understand that. So let's just take a step back for a second and examine really what that customer experience is from the time they cross the curb on your lot until the time they take delivery. What elements of your lot, showroom, facility, are they exposed to? What staff do they interact with? What processes are they exposed to throughout this entire journey? Can you answer that question? Do you know what it is? Have you put yourself in the shoes of a customer that actually went through it? Have you had a spouse, a friend, a brother, a relative go through it at your dealership? Because that's what you need to do. Just come in here, mystery shop us, and give me some feedback. How did it go for you? And maybe you got one great person and it was a fantastic experience, and maybe you hit somebody else that wasn't. But it's about analyzing the sales process and making sure that your store, first of all, has a process. Is there a road to the sale, and what is it? Is it the same regardless of whoever takes that up, be it a desk manager, a sales manager, or a consultant? Is it the same every time? And should it be the same every time? When we start looking at different processes, we need to rethink how we do things. We need to rethink everything. Should a salesperson be working with this customer? Is it possible to make a change and a TO easily with this customer? Evaluating all these thoughts and questions makes it much easier on you. So consider making some different changes. When a customer shares their story with countless others' journey, they're doing it for you. They're marketing just for you. When you share their story, it's so important that you promote it and you let it, thank the customer and make sure that they have the greatest experience possible. That's something you need to start looking out at right away. And there are a lot of choices out there for customers. When they pull in the lot, do they see a sales team just waiting to pounce on them? I know yesterday there was 3 dudes standing out in front of the dealership I went to. They were all smoking cigarettes right in the front. I just couldn't believe it. I know there's people that would see that and just turn around and leave. Yeah, absolutely just leave. I will share with you something new to consider. That, there are a lot of manufacturers that have done this in the past, but this is something I completely believe in, and I think it's the right way to go. Have you considered having your manager do the meet and greets? I mean, I would love to do this all the time, where the manager is the first one that steps out to the customer's vehicle, does a quick meet and greet, figures out who is this customer, what are they looking for, and who is the best person I can match them up with. And I know at a lot of dealerships it's going to be 1 or 2 people all the time, and that's not going to fly very long. But this is about selling cars, right? What is your bottom line? What is your goal? It is never to miss an opportunity. It is to sell cars. And if I have a better opportunity to sell a car by matching the right consultant up with the right prospect, I might do that every time. And when, you know what, later on that process, after the sales rep has been with that prospect for a little bit, and you come back in, you're no longer the hatchet guy. You're no longer the bad guy. You are now a trusted advisor that took the time to listen to me and help make this deal happen. And also, quit doing games. Get away from all that with the dealers, with the customers. This has a huge influence. Just be good. One of my buddies always says, how do we get better online reviews? I mean, the cut dealers always ask that. How do we get better online reviews? How do we do better about that? And the first thing we always say consistently is, give the customer a better buying experience. That's a dramatic pause right there, so you go, oh, duh, yeah. Give the customer a better buying experience, do away with the games, and you win. That's how we get this going. And have you considered mobile? I mean, look at these statistics. It's absolutely crazy how fast and quickly mobile is growing. There are being more smartphones being purchased than tablets and PCs combined. And a customer can verify info right at your desk, right in front of you. And when you look at those statistics, it's just crazy what they're doing. And nearly 8 in 10 smartphone users use it in the shopping process. You got to really rethink everything that you're doing. And you look, again, deeper into the smartphone world here that we're living in, and you start seeing that 48% use mobile for their initial search, 36% read professional reviews that are out there, a quarter of those people reviewed financing, and 27% looked up promotion. It's crazy. And the next thing you need to really look at is examine your entire sales team. You really need to look at them. Do they have the knowledge that they need as much as your customers today? Can they be a consultant with customers, address concerns, identify knowledge gaps? They are there to inform, educate customers. Are they friendly with them, or do they just get back on their heels the minute a customer gives an objection or excuse? I mean, it's not easy today. It is not easy being a sales consultant when you know that customer is armed with so much data and information. And what happens when that sales rep gets their heels against the wall? I know what we train them right now is go to the computer. We always talk about slow down, but go to the computer and validate. Where did you get that information? Kelley Blue Book, Edmunds? Oh, those are fantastic sites. We use them all the time at our dealership. Train your sales consultants to use these sites as a tool, because if that customer is all about price and you take them to Kelley Blue Book, Kelley Blue Book is going to give you fair market value for that vehicle. It's going to make your life a whole lot easier when you show them fair market value, and you know what? It's a number you can live with. It's a number that works for you. Use Kelley Blue Book. Use Edmunds. Use the tools on the internet. Have you ever seen vAuto's tool for what the right price is on a pre-owned vehicle? It is so powerful when that customer says, can you do better? And you're coming out of the gate with the right price right away, and you can prove it to them. Mr. Customer, what's important to you? Well, I want it under 60,000 miles. Okay, can I eliminate all 2009 Toyota Camrys that have over 60,000 miles? Sure. Zap. There goes the list, gets closer. Is there a certain radius you're willing to drive to find this perfect vehicle for you? I really don't want to drive over 30 miles. Okay, I'm going to eliminate every Camry that's over 30 miles away. Is certified? concern for you? Oh, yeah, I want it to be certified. So now I'm going to eliminate every other Camry that's not certified, and all of a sudden your list is down to 3 vehicles, and you have that one vehicle that they want. And the next one, it may be $100, $200 less because it's priced right too, and the other one's priced higher than yours. Mr. Prospect, I think we have a deal sitting right here. It is so easy when you start embracing and using the technology that's in front of you. But can your sales team do this? Do you train them? Do you push them? Do you work with them? All the time on this is what you need to do. You know, there's a complete lack of satisfaction due to the fact that salespeople don't have the knowledge of products. We are seeing this constantly all the time. Your salespeople today, they not only have to know your products, they have to know the competitive products. They have to know what's being said about them on the internet. They have to know what's being said about your dealership on the internet. They have to understand the customer more now than they ever did, because we know they have done all the research, these consumers. They know what's going on. Your job is to keep your staff up to date on everything. You know, have you considered what are you doing to help educate your staff today? Are you putting them through courses on the internet? Are you bringing in trainers? Are you, you know what? The ones that are sitting through this right now, you're doing the job, right? So kudos to you that are sitting through this, and I'm sure this is being recorded so you guys can watch this again. But when you start thinking about how much there is to do and how much there is to learn, and when you start even segmenting this down by consumer to different generations, it's like, holy cow, are you kidding me? Now I got to understand and work with baby boomers and Gen Y and what they're looking for. So Gen X and then the Gen Y. You know, those Gen Ys, it's not about price. Gen Ys, it's more about what does this vehicle say about me? You know, what are people going to say? How do I look in this vehicle? You know, this is the iPhone generation, real-time instant. And then when you start looking at future buyers, this Gen Z, you know, everything is influenced. Their parents influence them. They're going to use online. They're going to make these independent decisions. Whew, right? I mean, not only do I have to know all my products, you're telling me that I have to approach customers differently based upon their generation. And I'm going to tell you, yeah, you do. And you know what? It's not easy. None of this is easy. And to figure all this out and understand this, it takes a lot. That's why you really got to start looking at your sales process and what you're doing today. And if you can just embrace a few of these simple steps that, you know what, your customer wants. This is what the customers are telling us today. I want less administrative effort during the buying process, right? This going back and forth, back and forth. That's why, you know, negotiation-free or limited negotiation is really catching on fast because it empowers that sales consultant to sell value. That's all. I want to be able to sell value to this consumer. And if I don't have to continually touch desk, run away from this customer, leave them back, and fracture that buying experience again, the better it is going to be for the customer. My staff has to be more knowledgeable. You know, I never used to believe in having computers on the desk. That's another dramatic pause. If you could see my face, it'd be the dramatic pause. I always felt if you put a computer on a sales consultant's desk, it just makes it really easy for them to play fantasy football and solitaire. I can't tell you how many times I walk through a dealership and that's what I see. The fantasy football is up. They're talking about, they're goofing around. You know, I love a computer on the desk now because you have to embrace what's going on out there. I have to see what Kelley Blue Book, Edmunds, TrueCar, my manufacturer, what my competition, what these sites are doing. Because the more knowledge that I have as a sales consultant, the better off I am to be able to sell this customer a vehicle. And a shorter waiting time makes everything so much easier. You know, making the customer spend 4 to 6 hours, I still believe the average sales process takes 4 to 5 hours right now. So think about that, especially if you're an internet sales consultant on this phone right now. If you are a start to finish internet sales consultant and the average time to sell a vehicle through the whole entire process is 4 to 5 hours, what's happening to the leads that are coming in while you're with that customer? And are you worried about it? Is somebody watching them for you? Are you worried that you're missing a better up right now than the person you're with? I mean, it's just crazy to think about. And how about, you know, our simple little service department that this consumer wants? Make it simple. I want it easy. Give me that menu-based pricing. Make it easy on me. And when you agree on numbers with this customer, and when you start talking about the trade-in process, how's that going? Is that like the sickest thing you have to go through, or is it easy? Are you doing it while the customer's on a test drive? Are you coming in and you have that customer still sitting in the box? How long is that wait? Are they waiting to sign contract? Is it a rush for that contract? Is there time for that customer to ask questions? Is everything explained to their satisfaction? What are we doing with this customer to make it simple and easy? There is a small percentage, and I still believe it's a small percentage of consumers that want to buy a vehicle totally online. And I think it's something we can offer to all these customers to make it really, really easy for them. We can advertise right on your website, in your emails, and when you're talking to the customer. Mr. Customer, if you want, I can make this really, really easy for you. I can have you in and out of this dealership in 1 hour, and you can be going home in your new vehicle within 1 hour. And the customer's like, what? Huh? Really? How can you make that happen for me? Well, it all starts out with you making sure we have the right vehicle that you want, and we fill out the credit app online, so that way when you come in, we have the paperwork ready to go, and we make it simple and easy, clean for you. I will tell you, I bought my last 2 vehicles that way. I knew what I wanted. I knew I was getting a great price on the vehicle. I did the credit app online because I just wanted to get in and out of there. I didn't need the 45-minute delivery, which I understand a lot of dealers have to have today because cars are so techno-savvy, and it does take that long. And you know what? I have no problem sitting through that if you did everything else quick, because that's all, cherry on the top for me. It's icing on the cake at that point in time that I got my car, I'm done through all that paperwork. Yeah, you know what, I do want to learn how to work my Bluetooth. I do want to learn how to work all this that's going on. It's about the customer experience, and it doesn't end when you agree upon the number. You need to consider mixing up everything, keeping things moving faster for the consumer going through this process. Show the customer how to use, all the tools and options and, settings in a non-rush state. Also, consider inviting a customer to come back into the dealership, or are you going out there? Mr. Customer, I understand it's been a long day for you and you're rushed. I would like to come out in 2 days, 3 days, 5 days. You tell me, Mr. Customer. I'll drive on out to wherever you want. It could be the parking lot at your job. And I'll spend 15, 20 minutes with you just reviewing it. This way, you understand the vehicle better, you've gotten used to the vehicle, and now we can reconnect everything and make sure everything's working for you, at your pace. And and I just want to make you happy. So you want to improve your CSI? That's a pretty interesting, simple little thing to do. You need to eliminate as much time as possible from this whole process. The customers are waiting. Letting them sit alone in a chair, it's crazy. They could be listening to a conversation that's happening on the showroom floor with somebody else right now. That could kill your deal that's sitting right in front of you. When possible, do your best to eliminate that waiting time, because that is one of the biggest frustrations a customer could possibly have about going on. And don't forget what other staff members are doing. You have to limit their interaction with the customer. Are they making a favorable impression? Are they on the phone with their girlfriend having a fight, walking by the customer that's sitting in the box who's already agitated? It's about being professional. Remember I started the story yesterday of driving up in 3 and seeing 3 guys smoking? That was the first impression that I had of that dealership, and it was not a good one. So make sure you're doing everything right. If anybody's super old like me and has been around the block a lot, are you doing all those little things? I came up through the APB selling system where we did the traditional walk around and introduced that customer to all the different departments, the parts manager to the service department, service director. So easy. I can't tell you how many times a service director sold a vehicle for me. Because you go back out there and you look, guarantee you, your parts manager has been at that dealership for over 15 years. Your service manager has been there for over 15 years. They know everything about that place. They have a way with customers to make them feel good. If you figure out that they're not the right one to do that, that's a different issue, right? I mean, I may want to walk around to a service advisor that I know is really, really good. And you start looking at these simple little ways of giving a superior experience to the customer, because the new measurement, right? You go through the circle of life, and it's all about retaining customers to get them to come back in. And when you get them, do a service walk with the customer, especially after delivery, if you know you have 15, 20 minutes before they get into F&I, walk them back to service and schedule that first appointment right there. And if you give away the first service appointment, and it's usually an oil change, promote that. Talk about it right then and there. Make it great. Make it simple for that prospect. Keep it moving. Keep it happy throughout the entire experience that you're going there. Setting that first appointment builds loyalty for that customer. When they set it, there's a huge chance that they'll come back. If you don't set that first appointment, there's a huge chance they won't come back. That makes sense? You set the appointment and they show up, they come back into your dealership. You don't set the first appointment, you're missing opportunities. When we start looking at retention and service and sales, all that, it's really the one question is, would I buy a vehicle from this dealer again? Truly, that's CSI. Would I buy another vehicle from this dealership again? That's where I'm telling you the current CSI process is antiquated, and Net Promoter Score is becoming more and more of a true barometer of what we do at our dealership. Would I buy a car from this dealership again, or would I recommend a friend buy a car from this dealership again? It's so key. It's so easy. And when you start looking at the roles of the managers, we talked about it, having your product specialist, different people up front that demonstrate value, landing them on the right vehicle, selling value rather than selling. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, there's some great consultants that work with me, and all the time I hear from the dealers, wow, it was so refreshing not to be sold. I'm like, what? Nope, she just came in and she educated me. She gave me so much information. She never spoke down to me. She made sure I understood what I was talking about, and she gave me the best buying experience ever without ever selling. Make it easy. Educate me. Have these roles change. I mean, I've seen so many dealerships come up with hybrid roles, where we have just product specialists, and then, and that's their job, is to inform, educate, give them a test drive on the vehicle. And then you have these closers, but these closers are managers, and they're very skillful at what they do. But these product specialists understand, I'm here just to answer questions for the consumer. I'm here just to give them the information that they're looking for. And you know what? Most of the time, they're there to confirm the information that the consumer already has. Consumer knows so much about your vehicle, and sometimes they call you on the phone just to say, hey, really? Can I lease that vehicle for $199 a month for 36 months? Absolutely you can. That's the current promotion that Buick is running on that vehicle. And it makes it so nice and so easy. And that's all this customer wants is, do I have this right? Do I understand these programs correctly? Are they right for me? So look at the roles and your staff and how they continue to evolve and everything that changes as we go in. And you have to start involving. Managers have to be multitasking air traffic control carriers, so to speak, in the showroom. They have to start talking to customers. They cannot avoid customers. I see it so many times that the desk manager or sales manager never leaves their office. What's the old MBWA, management by walking around? They have to get out there early. Saturn started so many great sales processes with us. When we used to have a sales consultant take a test drive, they would do the early manager introduction right there. They'd say, hey, Bill, this is Jim Smith. This is his first Saturn he's ever driven. And Bill would walk out there and say, hey, Jim, you have a great ride with that. This sales consultant is one of the best guys we have. I'm sure he'll be able to answer all the questions for you. And I can't wait to hear what you had to say when you come back in from your test drive. Have a great ride. And you guys walk away and going, wow, what a good guy he is. Start evolving what you do. Remember, these customers truly want to buy a car. Did you guys hear that? The customer truly wants to buy a car. They want it to be done easy. And I know the old adage, buyers are liars. Buyers make it harder for us. We give them, the customer says, I don't want playing games, just give me your best price. And so many times we do that, right? We give them a great price right away, and they still don't trust us. I get it. That's why when I give a customer a great price, I have a source that I'm showing them what a great price is. Other people like you are paying this amount for this car. And if you want to beat that by a few $100s, go ahead and beat that. But at least now you have a reference point, because you know that old joke, how do you know when a sales rep is lying? Anyone? Anyone? His lips are moving. You know, people don't trust us. They don't believe us. And it's just sad and sickens because we are the most honest, upfront industry of anything that's out there. We allow people to share our cost. We show them what we pay for a vehicle, and they still don't trust us. That's why we have to embrace the internet. We have to change and evolve with our sales process to match the consumer's experience. And you know, service equals repeat buyers, right? Once we get them into service, they're a repeat buyer. I did a webinar yesterday which was all about social media, and we talked a lot about Groupon and living social. And I had a bunch of people on this webinar that I was doing that said, I bought through Groupon a $10 oil change. And you know what? I couldn't believe it. It was so simple, so easy. I was in and out of the dealership in a half hour. They were unbelievably friendly and nice. It was never a dealership I've never dealt with in the past, and guess what? I bought a car from them after that service experience. You know, give me a great experience in parts and service, and I'll come back and buy my next vehicle from you. So don't, you know, think that Groupon and those social media sites are just for service. They work and get customers to come back into the sales department. You know, if you can speed it up for me with pads and tablets in the service department, and customers go, oh, it's really, really cool. There's all the history that I did before, and here's a work order they can sign. And remember they decline service? Hey, can you sign here to decline the service? That's a CYA move for you, and it makes that customer rethink, oh, okay, he's warning me that my brakes or pads are really, really low right now, and now I'm putting my name on this that I declined to have them fixed. Because you know it's happened to you before. That customer came in for service, they rear-end somebody the next day, and they call you that they're all mad that my brakes didn't stop me in time. And you told them that you needed to change their brakes, and they declined it. But once they sign something or put their initials to it, it's a game changer right then and there. You know, so pulling up the history and all the maintenance, it's a great, cool thing to do. If you can get that one continuous workflow for that customer, we schedule it, open it, do the inspection, and move on, it makes it so nice and so easy for the consumer. Let's face it, too. Even the best process doesn't work every time. And, you know, that's why I say process sells cars, not price. Having a great, consistent process will work. I mean, there are times where you have to think out of the box. So you may need to consider offering a free oil change, topping their gas off, a free car wash for those customers. You know, something that will bring them back a second time to make sure they're happy, that their comfort level is there at all times for you and the dealership. You know, you have to be quick on your feet. It doesn't work all the time. You know, we gave that customer the best price. I know. And what happened? They never contacted. They never followed up. All right. You missed one. You know, by not giving me a price, you're missing a whole lot more than that. So consider what you can do and how you can empower your dealership to do anything you want. And now it's time, from the customer's point of view, for you to evaluate your current facility. Is it nice? Is it eye-pleasing? I know in the GM channel right now, it's like, holy cow. Some of these new Chevrolet stores that I'm walking to under the Blue Arch, absolutely phenomenal. And if you haven't seen, I think they're the slickest looking. You know, I get it all the time from Chevrolet dealers that every Chevrolet store looks alike. They're starting to get McDonald's-like. I think they look great. I think they look super professional. As a consumer, when I pull in, that's what I want. I want to have this consistent buying experience. What I was about to say is, Buick looks hot, man. That black arch that Buick has is just a great looking facility. I'm jealous if I'm a Chevrolet or store that I don't have that Buick black arch. It just looks fantastic. And you need to evaluate your staff. You know, and I don't want to fire people. It's too hard to find good people. I just want to make the people I have better. And it's time to evaluate your process. You know, instead of what brought you in today? You know, how'd you hear about us? What sites have you visited? What sites did you find the most useful? What did you like about that site? You know, and shorten my purchase visit. It takes too dang long to buy a car. So when you start figuring this all out and you start looking to implement your plan and you go through all this, get the managers involved, get everybody else involved, map out, determine the roles and responsibilities of all the people there. Provide staff with training. That's what they want. And it's not just the sales consultants, it's the managers too. Everybody wants and needs training. Things change so fast. Every time I think I have Google figured out, I realize I know nothing. I mean, I see my post in Google come up one day, and they're gone the next day. Google can do whatever they want. Google owns the world, right? So keep training on how Google's changed and how to get positive reviews on Google, and then determine anything that needs to change in your facility. If you have smokers at your facility, get them in the back. Get them out of the customer's view. Is it aesthetically pleasing to walk in? Do I have a great meet and greet every time? And who's going to do that meet and greet? Do I have somebody that can just really determine the customer's needs? You know, that's how we used to do it. We never want to miss a deal. And by making the 8th step, you know, your process change, part of everything that you do right now, you can implement this change, and it's up to you to do it. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to the ladies. I'm going to shut up for a little bit and answer any questions that you might have, and I'll catch my breath. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Rich, for a great presentation. If you would like to ask Rich a question, just please enter it in the question box to the right, and I will start with the first questions that have come in. First question, Rich, is how should you handle shoppers using their mobile phone during negotiations?
Yeah, you know, and we're seeing it so much. I'm laughing because that question came up yesterday at a dealership I was at, where they were actually sitting down desking a deal, and the guy pulled up TrueCar on his cell phone, and he's like, "Well, here's a TrueCar price." You know, and it's got to be, you know, it's difficult. Nothing's easy. It used to be easy. And I'll say, you know, TrueCar has changed a lot. TrueCar at Digital Dealer made a conscious effort to say, we are no longer showing the lowest possible price. We are trying to get to a fair price with consumers. So, you know, you first of all, they pull up something on their mobile phone. It's probably not apples to apples. What I would like to do with that customer is say, you know, absolutely, our job is to make you comfortable. We have the vehicle you want. Let's go to Kelly, Edmunds, or even TrueCar and build that car exactly the way it's equipped as the one we have here, and show them what a fair price is. Remember, you can't make the home run on every deal, and not every customer is going to whip out that mobile phone at the time of negotiations. And if it's 1 out of 10, 1 out of 20, then I may have to take the chance to slow them down, share with them a third-party site, and share with them what other customers like them are paying for that vehicle. And the odds are you're already at that price. You're at or below that price already, and you just validated your argument by showing them Edmunds or Edmunds or Kelley Blue Book. Couldn't think of Kelley Blue Book. So they're the most popular sites out there that customers use, and I would use them to validate and substantiate your price to that customer right then and there. Never, ever discredit that customer. Never, ever get confrontational or argumentative. The minute you get confrontational or argumentative with the customer, you lose. It's just that simple. So it's not going to work every time, but that's the way I see most successful dealers doing it today.
Okay, thanks, Rich. What type of training do you suggest for old school sales consultants or managers?
Get rid of them. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. You know, I see it more often in the Buick stores, you know, where this guy's been with me for 15 years. And you know, when I say to that dealership with the guy that's been with me 15 years, my first thing is, how's he doing? And the answer usually is, he does okay. He sells 6 to 8 cars a month. And I'm like, really? And that's okay? And they're like, yeah, it's okay. I go, does he take fresh ups? And they go, yeah, he does take fresh ups. And my answer is, why? He's been with you that long. Why isn't he just focusing on his database of customers right now who are old school like him, that understand the old school mentality, you know, and maybe you guys need to change this. If that prospect comes in and talks to that old school salesperson, somebody has to intervene. It's time for a TO. And a good sales consultant understands that a TO is a strength, not a weakness. And if I could get 50% of something instead of 0 of nothing, I'm going to take that. So if I say, you know what, I think young Jimmy over here would be better with this customer. He's more of a Gen Y person like him, and I think I should, you know, TO, or maybe a manager comes in and steps in and says, pulls that sales consultant away and say, hey, look, I'm going to split this deal with you, but I'm going to take it over, or I'm going to give it to Jim because I think he's a better match for this prospect right now. You know, as far as training goes, we're doing it, right? They got to sit through webinars like this that understand that you have to embrace the internet. You can't hate this customer. When I start out internet departments, I'd start with the entire sales force, and I'd say, by show of hands, who does not want to deal with internet customers? And half of those guys would raise their hands. I go, fine, no SIP for you. You're off the internet team. And I can narrow it down right there of who wants to deal with this internet customer. And what's sad today is 9 out of 10 people that buy a vehicle have been online. So everybody's an internet customer today. They've all gone to your website. Very few submit an email lead. It's like 1 to 2% of the people that go to your website actually submit an email lead. The rest call or walk in. So you have to change. You have to understand, and there has to be a process within your dealership that says we either train these guys better and get them up to speed. If they don't want to do that, then we got to start TOing these prospects to them, or it's time for them to go. Sorry, I'm cold that way. So hopefully I answered that question. Yep.
Next question. Who should be responsible for evaluating our store's processes?
Well, that is a great question. First of all, does your store have a process? Is it working? And, you know, nothing I do is emotional. Everything I do in stores is metric motivated. So I would start with your processes by evaluating, is it working today? So I would start with the floor process. How many true ups did we have today? And a true up is somebody that walks into your dealership with the intention of buying a vehicle or thinking about buying a vehicle. That customer that walks in and says, I just want a brochure on that vehicle, that's an up. Okay? That is an up. You know, somebody that walks over from the service department that has a car with 100,000 miles on it, that has a $700 RO that's waiting to get work done, that's an up. So almost everybody that's looking, that's interested, is up, and they get logged. So now it's how many ups did we truly log, how many demos did we do, and that number should be 70 to 80%. 70 to 80% of people that walk in should drive a car. If you're giving numbers to people that haven't driven the cars, you're taking the emotional part out of this. You got to get that customer in the ether. That's why we drive cars, is to create that bonding relationship, get them emotionally attached to the vehicle. So you should have a 70 to 80% demo rate. And then your write-up rate should be 75 to 80% too. So of the people that demo the car, 75 to 80% of them should get written up. And their close rate of those people should probably be around 20%. We close about 20% of the people, so it's metrics driven. And then you do the same thing on phones. How many phone ups did this person take? He should schedule 50% of those to appointment. 50% of them should show up, 50% of them should buy. So the phones is really easy, 50-50-50. Stuker, Cardone, Verde, Traver, they say 75% of the people that call your dealership should set an appointment. I think it's too high. I think they could do it. I think John Quaddy could do it. The truly excellent phone trainers that are out there. But most dealership personnel are not going to have a 75% appointment set rate. But 50%, it's an outstanding number. And once you get 4 or 5 people that can do that, they become your elite phone squad. So it's purely metric driven. Now you go into your emails. 30 to 35% of the people that email you should set an appointment. If you can get to 50%, you're doing a great job. It's not a sick job, it's a great job. But your minimum standard is 30 to 35%. So I know I'm talking really fast. And I know I'm giving you a lot of stats and statistics, hence my email address and phone number on the left side of the screen, because there's no way I could give you all that. So if I'm not answering, if you want to say, hey, can you give me those details more and more information, feel free to call or email me. I'll be more than happy to give you that information. And so just to finish up the email, here's the deal. Your close rate should be 12% and above on total leads. So if you receive 100 email opportunities, 12 of those people should buy a car. The deal is, of the 12 that you closed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them should have been from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months ago. That means you keep working on these people till they buy or die or say, leave me the heck alone. It's about a process in the internet department. So I'm not sure. I think I answered that question. It was a long one, but hopefully I did. And if I didn't, ask me again or get more clarity or email or call me. I'm here for you.
Thanks, Rich. We have one last question. Who is the best influencer of driving process changes across multiple departments?
It's just such an easy question. You know, everything in a dealership fails because of one reason. Here's some quick stats before I answer that question just the way you asked it. It's such a fabulous question. 80% of all BDCs fail. 80% of internet departments at some point in time fail. 80% of CRM initiatives fail. And they're all for the same reason. The answer to your question is senior management involvement. If senior management, DPGM, are not completely bought in and engaged to what's happening in your dealership, all processes will fail. It has to start from the top down, and they're the ones that have to enforce and regulate the process. CRM fails all the time because us as salespeople will take the easiest path. I don't need to log that guy. He just wanted a brochure. I don't need to log that phone up. I didn't get a name or number from him. I don't need to log that guy. I don't need to use CRM because nobody else cares. Nobody else is looking at it. So if your GM and your DP are not looking at CRM every day and looking at what the activity is in the dealership, how many people did we talk to, how many appointments did we set, how many people showed up, if they're not doing that on a daily basis, why would anybody think their processes will work? You have to have senior management fully and completely embrace every process you put into the store. Just that simple, just that easy. Otherwise, processes will fail. That's my answer to that question.
Thanks, Rich. Great answer and great presentation. We thank you very much. We'd like to invite all of our participants today to complete a short survey that will be delivered to you when you exit the webinar. And if you have any additional questions, please email our host, Maria Burkell, that's mburkell @dealer-communications.com. And please stay tuned for upcoming Digital Dealer webinars. Our next webinar will be Email Marketing Best Practices. It's Not Your Father's Newsletter. This is sponsored by IMN. Our speaker will be Bobby Gaudreau, Vice President Sales, IMN. This will be held December 13th, Thursday, at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, and it's free. You can see all of our upcoming webinars at www.edwebinars.com. And we want to thank all of you here and tell you about a very interesting new development from Dealer Communications. We are going to have a Digital Dealer Virtual Exposition online from December 5th to December 11th. You will be able to view and listen to the top 10 educational sessions that were presented at the 13th Digital Dealer Conference and Exposition that was just held in October in Las Vegas. You'll be able to see products and services from almost 120 exhibitors who exhibited at the conference. You'll be able to chat online with the solution providers and learn more about their products and services. And this is completely accessible 24/7 from the time period December 5th to the 11th, and it's free. So complimentary registration for all dealership people is at www.ddvirtualexpo.com. So please, that site will be live in a couple of days. Log into that and sign up. It's totally free and it's accessible when you're free to access it, December 5th to the 11th. We hope you'll join us.
Thank you, everyone. This concludes the webinar. Have a great day.